Y ahora me gustaría, dar paso a Johanna Kahn, que es nuestra representante o es la representante de la APA, que ha venido especialmente para esta sesión desde Estados Unidos. Johanna Kahn es la consultora de soluciones académicas en la Asociación Americana de Psicología. No hace falta que os explique a vosotros precisamente qué es la APA, pero por resumirlo en pocas líneas, es la principal organización científica y profesional que representa a la psicología en Estados Unidos. Tiene más de 140.000 investigadores, entre investigadores, educadores, clínicos, consultores y estudiantes entre sus miembros. Y es la principal fuente de psicología que proporciona contenidos a través de todo tipo de instrumentos, libros, revistas, boletines, recursos electrónicos, etc. Pero todos estáis muy familiarizados por lo que he visto hasta ahora. Bienvenida, Johanna.
Gracias.
Welcome.
Thank you. Apologies, I don't speak Spanish, so I will speak slowly, but it's in English. We switch from all Spanish to English. So first of all, I would like to thank everyone for the hospitality, for the Colegio, for allowing this, and of course EBSCO for giving me the opportunity to speak here about APA and how we prepare the next generation of psychologists with our teaching resources. You've already heard Mr. Lucas talk about PsycInfo very passionately. I think it was good. And professors Vera and Munoz talked about psychotherapy. So now the last one, that's me. I will talk more about who is APA, what do we do, our resources to help the professors teach, and then the actual research products that we publish, and also some of the international initiatives that we are involved in. We're American, but we work collectively with many international organizations to make this world a better place in mental health. So yes, today's meeting agenda will be, I will give a little background about who we are, what is our mission. We will talk about APA's educational initiatives and resources, our research products, which some you heard about already, and then subject indexing, what goes behind in the whole indexing process, like this thesaurus of psychological terms, and APA's international initiatives. And then if we have time, you can ask me questions. Whoops. Okay, so background and mission. So who is APA? We are a mission-driven organization. Our mission is to improve people's lives by advancing psychology as a field. We're a very old organization. We were founded in 1892 originally with only 31 members. And now it is the largest psychological organization with over 146,000 members globally. And we are based in Washington, D.C. We have an office there, but we are pretty much remote now after COVID. So, as I mentioned, we are a mission-driven organization. We promote and advance the communication and application of psychological science to benefit and improve lives, and we do this 4 ways. Number 1, we utilize psychology to make a positive impact on critical society issues. We elevate the public's understanding of, regard for, and use of psychology. And we prepare the discipline, the field of psychology for the future. And we strengthen our standing, APA's standing as an authoritative voice for psychology. So we are out there promoting it. And so some of the things that we do to guide future clinical practice is, first of all, we are translating psychological research into more evidence-based and real evidence-based guidelines for practitioners. We also influenced health insurance coverage policy. I think this is more an American thing, not so much in Europe. It's a big problem for us. Health insurance, we don't have it. It's more American. And then some of the topics that are included in this future clinical practice are adult PTSD, which is post-traumatic stress disorder. This is global. Child and adolescent obesity, again, not a problem in Spain, but a big problem for us in America. Obese children, there are mental consequences of this. And then, of course, depression across the lifespan, a very global problem. So again, some of the things that we have worked with, provided resources for dealing with post-traumatic stress disorder, PTSD. We work with mental health professionals, primary care providers, patients, and families. Mental health needs of racial and ethnic minority children, it needs a very special kind of work. So APA works in translating psychology research into more practical and usable products for different audiences. So this helps to guide the practitioners that are working with this group. It also gives policy brief for states and local, like city legislators in dealing with the racial and ethnic minority children. So next I will talk about our educational resources. These are more resources that help faculty, professors. They're not the actual research products, but these are just helping a professor to develop a psychology program. So in America, we call undergraduate, that's more, undergraduate level is the first 4 years of university. You're not necessarily, in a master's or PhD level yet. So this particular product is called Principles for Quality Undergraduate Education in Psychology. Is designed to describe best practices that faculty members, programs, and departments can adopt to facilitate student learning and development in psychological science. So this is free for everyone. This helps the professor to create and design a program. So that is one resource that we have for undergraduate level. Then we also have something called APA Guidelines for Undergraduate Psychology Major. So in America, again, we have major specialization. You specialize in psychology. So this tool helps, represents it's a national effort to describe and develop more high quality undergraduate programs in psychology. Again, a very good tool for faculty in psychology. Then we have something called Psychology Teacher Network. This is a free quarterly publication published by APA Center for Education in Psychology, and it serves as a resource for teachers, for students that are before they enter college, and then also undergraduate, the first 4 years. If you're interested in psychology, it's a very good tool for that. Then we have a very cool tool. Hopefully I can link to, no, I don't know if I can link to this. I will try. It's APA's online psychology laboratory. This is very interactive, where students and faculty can go in and do interactive kind of tests and tests and games. There are a lot of games there you can play. It helps them to understand certain concepts of psychology more. I'm going to see if I can link to it, but I might not because it's all on my laptop. So let me see if I can link to it. So this is this laboratory of online psychology. It's very, so as you can see here, there's a student login. Let me just go to home here, actually. So when you first go into this, you have a student login where a student creates an account. It's free, or an educator. The professor can create a login here. So I don't think I remember what my login is, but you can also see here some of the demonstrations that this allows. So you can just kind of browse this tool here. So for example, here, like I'm gonna just click on depressants here, and you can see this is sort of it guides you through a module, and you can continue and follow the instructions. It would tell you what it is, but it's very interactive for a student to kind of understand a bit better about, understand psychology in a more meaningful way because they're interacting with it. There are a lot of great things here. Of course, I won't go through each one, but it's something that the professors have at their disposal. Okay, let me go back to this here. And so that's a bit about that tool. Okay, now, so that's it for the research, for the teaching guide. So let's talk about APA research products. These are actually the resources that many of the universities here have. Some have been spoken about, PsycInfo, Psychtherapy. We basically classify our databases into categories. The first place that you start everything is search, PsycInfo. So this is where PsycInfo is like the Google of mental health and psychology. So PsycInfo, we have another database called PsycExtra, which is more of like conference proceedings. It's not as big as PsycInfo, but so these are our search and discovery databases. PsycInfo is abstracts and indexing. Then we have a streaming database, Psychtherapy videos. I will talk a bit more about this in a few slides. So that is our videos database. And then we have full text databases. So we have Psych Books that was mentioned by Mr. Lucas. And then we have our journals database called Psych Articles, which has 121 journals in this database. So we have that database under full text. And then we have a database for tests and measures. This is an extensive collection of psychological measures, scales, surveys, and other research instruments. So those are our products for research. So I want to focus a bit more on PsycInfo. I know we've talked a lot about it, but I'll go a little bit more what goes into creating PsycInfo. So as it was mentioned, PsycInfo is a abstracts and indexing database, which spans, it's very multidisciplinary in nature. It spans behavioral and social sciences. There are over 5 million bibliographic records to date, from 2,300 journals. There are over 69,000 book chapters, and 900 videos are also included that can be discovered from PsycInfo. It is updated twice weekly. And actually, it's not just English language. It does cover 30 different languages, journals from other languages as well. I think you mentioned some of the Spanish. And then publications from 50 different countries. And the coverage goes way back to 1600, so it's a very comprehensive. So it's when we talk about PsycInfo, it's important we also talk about the APA thesaurus of psychological index terms. This is not a separate product, but it is the foundation, actually, of that drives the search and discoverability of PsycInfo and other databases. And it provides more precise and consistent terminology that reflect changes within behavioral and social sciences field. So it is constantly updated. In this year, as of June, we have 200 updates that have been made, and I will show some of them here in a bit. So here we have just an example of EBSCO host, where you can, from EBSCO host, you can do a search so right here, for example, thesaurus of psychological index terms, you can browse from EBSCO host. So what it does is the thesaurus enhances discovery by, it standardizes vocabulary, so enhances search, precision, recall, and comprehensiveness. It improves discoverability and learning, and it facilitates data storage and retrieval. and provides better overall use of data. So where do these terms come from? They're updated constantly. We have different ways that these terms are updated. So we have our own team in Washington, D.C. We have a PsycInfo indexing staff. So they are working to scan different resources. The production system, they use production system suggested term fields, term usage. So that's one way that we come across these terms. And just general users, the users that use our products. We look at what sort of, query, what are they inputting for search? So we pay attention to that. We are also acquiring new journals often. So when we acquire new journals, we look at these new acquisitions for these terms. We look at other related sources, so publications from other publishers, social media, subject matter experts. We scan those resources. And then we do content searches in our own databases, APA databases, products, and web pages. So that is how we come across these different terms that we then include in the thesaurus. So I mentioned in 2023, we added to date 200 new terms. Just to give you an example of some of them, this is not everything. Big thing right now is artificial intelligence. Everyone's searching for this. So, we have added terms in thesaurus for like chatbots, emotion detection, facial recognition, intelligent personal agents, and then under psych therapy and treatment, cognitive analytic therapy, under human rights, for example, indigenous rights, reproductive rights, women's rights, under gender and sexuality, gender affirming care, gender inclusion. So there's many. We're constantly adding new ones based on the procedures I described. So actually, I'm going to also, I think this is something else I have to get a link for. I'm going to show a short video of how to use the thesaurus to do a search in using EBSCO host. So hopefully this will work. Okay, this one is easy actually, I think. Abrir the link, yes. Okay, hopefully this will work, okay.
The first day that
Let me skip an ad.
Was already able to connect our...
Okay, 5 minutes of this. I think we'll need this.
Welcome. In this video, you'll learn how to create an effective search in APA PsycInfo using index terms. We'll use the APA thesaurus to look up index terms and conduct a search in APA PsycInfo. While I'll search using the EBSCO host platform, the strategies introduced in this video are applicable for any version of APA PsycInfo. In APA PsycInfo, you can access APA PsycInfo index terms by selecting the link on the top of the page that reads APA Thesaurus of Psychological Index Terms. Once in the thesaurus, we'll browse for the index terms to use in our search. For our sample search, I'll start by typing PTSD in the search box labeled Browsing APA Thesaurus of Psychological Index Terms. And then I'll select the Browse button. From the list of index terms, it looks like the thesaurus is telling us to use the index term post-traumatic stress disorder. Select this linked term. On the next page, you can add post-traumatic stress disorder to your search by selecting the box next to it and then selecting the Add button. Notice the term now shows up in the top search box in quotes with the letters DE in the front. This DE label tells APA PsycInfo to search for this phrase as an index term. Select the search button to find all the items in APA PsycInfo that are tagged with this index term. This takes care of our first concept, PTSD. To include our second term, telehealth, we go back to the APA thesaurus and search again. Following the same steps as before, it looks like the official index term is telemedicine. This time, after I select the linked term, I'm going to select it one more time to get more information. From this new page, we can see the year the term was introduced and read the scope note or definition for the term to ensure that it matches what we're looking for. Scrolling a little bit further down on the page, there is a list of broader and narrower terms and related terms. To include any of these index terms in your search, select the checkbox to the right of the term and then select the Add button. For our topic, narrower terms like online therapy, telepsychiatry, and telepsychology could be relevant. Before leaving this page, don't forget to select the box next to the main index term, telemedicine. Now select the Add button. Notice that OR is automatically added in between the terms. This is telling APA PsycInfo to look for articles tagged with any of these index terms. It will create a broader search than just searching for articles tagged with telemedicine. Let's select the search button and go back to our advanced search page. To combine our two index terms, select the search history link just underneath the search boxes. We already have the telemedicine concept in our first search box. To add our second term, select the box next to post-traumatic stress disorder, and then select the Search with And button. Doing this tells APA PsycInfo to look for articles that are tagged with any one of the index terms related to telemedicine and the post-traumatic stress disorder index term. Scrolling down the page, we can begin to look through our results. For this topic, let's focus on veterans as our population group. We can do this by going back to the top of the page and selecting the APA Thesaurus of Psychological Index Terms link. Let's search for veterans. Military veterans is the official index term. We'll select the hyperlink and then select the box to the right of it. Selecting the Add button and then Search will send this new term to our search history. Now we can combine it with our previous search. I'll select the box next to our combined telemedicine and post-traumatic stress disorder search, and then select Search with And. Adding military veterans to our search has narrowed the topic and reduced our results quite a bit. Notice that this final set of results is focused on veterans, PTSD, and telemedicine. If at any point you want to see the index terms tagged to a specific article, there is an abbreviated list under each article's citation. Just look for the subjects heading. For the full list of index terms, select the title and scroll down to the subjects heading. This is a great strategy to use when looking for additional index terms to add to your search. For example, in this article, I'm seeing the index term mobile applications, which might be valuable to include so that we can find additional relevant articles. In closing, constructing a search to find relevant articles in APA PsycInfo is as easy as looking up the index term for your search concepts and combining them in the search history. Thanks for watching.
Okay, so let me go back to the presentation. And I think in EBSCO host, when they search, they can do translation to Spanish, no?
Yeah.
Good, okay. So yeah, probably should have used the real time, but okay. So that, let me go next slide. So that's the index terms. Now we move on to one of the products that has been spoken about, Psych Therapy, our videos streaming database. I know last year we had done quite a bit of work here. I wasn't here at that time. Another of my colleagues from America presented on Psych Therapy. So this is a streaming video platform that features real clinicians, real therapists, and patients that have agreed to be recorded for research purposes, for educational purposes. So they're not actors. I will show a clip in a bit. So this is a very good tool to allow for learning and staying knowledgeable about the latest psychotherapy techniques. There are over 900 videos covering over 200 therapy topics here. So it includes another really interesting tool that we have here. I'm gonna see if this is gonna work. There's, for professors, there's an actual teaching guide here. It's like a 91-page guide that looks like this. So it's very long, but it's very useful for professors that want to incorporate this into the teaching setting. It tells them, first of all, what is it, application of it, the teaching methods, pedagogical methods that they can use. So a very long document. It's in English. We are working on translating it to Spanish next year, hopefully, fingers crossed. So anyway, just wanted to give a quick overview of that and keep an eye out for the Spanish version soon. So psychotherapy also is, we follow web content accessibility guidelines for level AA standards. And then also it features some clips. I'll show a little bit, some things that you can do as when you're teaching or learning, you can create little clips from it, and playlists included in favorites, that kind of stuff. So it is kind of, you can do things with it. It's not just static watching the videos. So we are investing heavily in psychotherapy. Just as of May this year, we added 50% more videos to it. So it went from 600 to 900 as of May. I know you have it. You'll be happy to see a lot more content. So this means many, many hours. There are like now 1,000 hours of videos here. So there's a lot of increase in the content just in 2023. So just to give you some examples of some of the video types, I included here some of the topics that are very popular in Europe, in Northern Europe especially. So there's a therapy called emotion-focused skills training. This teaches parents emotion-focused skills, and it features an Icelandic author from Iceland and a psychotherapist called Anne Hildur Vassbol Hagen. Probably didn't pronounce the name correctly, but she's very well known in this field. And also areas like prolonged exposure therapy. It's the trauma-focused approach. It's similar to narrative exposure therapy, which is widely used in Europe. And then there's something called EMDR. This is eye movement desensitization and reprocessing. It's using the eyes, actually, the eye movement as the originator in demonstrating the approach. So we'll be adding more to the EMDR approach in 2024. Okay, so I'm gonna play a small clip actually from psychotherapy, another few minutes. This one might be complicated. I don't know if I can log in, but I will try. Let's see.
Alrighty. So hello.
Hello.
Yeah, deep breath. Right, let's shift from chatting to beginning our work. So welcome.
Thank you. Glad
Nice
be
to
here.
see you. Yeah. Session number 4 or 5. Here we are.
Yeah, here we are.
We've crossed the midpoint.
Yeah.
So I won't play this whole thing. It's probably not the most exciting video. It's not the one I wanted to play, but just to show you some things. So here you see a therapist and a patient corresponding. On the right-hand side, you will see the transcript of what they're saying, which is helpful, I think, especially when you don't speak English. It might be difficult to understand, but reading it is a bit easier. So as they're speaking, it will
So tell me
highlight,
where you would
for
like to
example,
start.
like what they're saying. Wherever it highlights, it's this is what that person is saying.
Well,
So this gives you an understanding of, how a therapist may react and address certain patient scenarios. So some of the things that you can do from psychotherapy are, so this gives you a description at the bottom here, like what is this video about? It gives you the publisher index terms. We'll note here the index terms here, very important. We use this for everything. Date it was recorded. If there's any prescription for drugs, not applicable. And then keywords, release date, therapeutic approach, so it will list that here. And so, and also on the right-hand side, it will tell you other related content that you can find, other videos that are similar to this particular approach. You can add it to your list as favorites. You can create a clip here.
Los segmentos es importante.
Okay, here. Sí, yes, so, gracias. So you can see here, these segments, it's best to get it from someone who actually is using it. Their segments opening, this tells you the different segments that you can jump to. So it gives you the little time clips for each one that you can kind of jump to from here. So like here, this takes us to
Let's
that
see if I'm
segment
understanding
about
this.
emotional
But
focusing.
in a way, you identify with him because this is
So that's a quick overview of what psych therapy video database actually looks like. So now let me go back to the full thing here. A lot of jumping around. So we do offer training to all the librarians. Even using, we have trainers in Washington, D.C. that will use EBSCO host to demonstrate from that. They're very knowledgeable. So we have many training sessions scheduled throughout. I've covered our teaching resources, our research resources. I want to talk a bit about what APA does internationally with our initiatives. So we are an American society publisher or society organization, but we do work with many international societies as well to collaborate. So one of the things that we have is called a signed memoranda of understanding, MOUs. To date, we have 61 of these MOUs. In Spain with COP, we signed one in 2012. So these are psychological associations in different countries that we sign the MOUs with. What this does is it formalizes more like a collaborative relationship with national psychology associations so that it allows for more global sharing of resources, developing opportunities for discussion and exchange, and for fostering more productive alliances. And so some of the international efforts that we've done is, for example, we have something called APA International Learning Partner Program. So this offers members a unique opportunity to gain insight into psychology and mental health care across the world, and to learn from international colleagues and earn more continuing education credits for their studies. Then there's something called APA IUPSYS. This is the International Union of Psychology Scientists. This is a global mental health fellowship, so APA work with them to provide unique opportunity for psychologists to collaborate with World Health Organization staff in the mental health unit of the Department of Mental Health and Substance Use for a period of 1 year. Then we also work with the Global Psychology Alliance. So there are over 60 national, regional, and international psychological associations from every continent that have formed this Global Psychology Alliance to take action to elevate psychological science to address global issues that are too big for one association to handle. So it's a global effort to tackle these problems. We also work in giving international grants and awards. So we are involved in research funding, scholarships, honors, and awards. So for example, some of the awards that we have worked with are Award for Distinguished Contribution to the International Advancement of Psychology. There's APA International Humanitarian Award. Then there's a CIRP Outstanding Dissertation Award, International Scientific Meeting Sport Award, and there are others. Also, we have many grants, so APA Grant for International Psychologists and Psychology Students. That is a grant for them to attend APA Annual Conference. We hold APA Annual Conference every year, so this year is going to be in August in Washington, D.C. So we do help some students internationally, give them grants to attend this annual convention. So there are many other grants here. These are all listed on the APA website if anyone's interested, rather than me just reading through this list here. So we are involved in that. And that's it. that's the end of the presentation. Any
Muchas gracias,
questions?
Rojana. Muchísimas gracias a los tres intervinientes. No sé si alguno tiene alguna pregunta para nuestro panel de expertos antes de irnos a comer.
¿Cuándo vais a absorber a la American Psychiatric Association?
Did you understood? He was asking when the APA will absorb the American Psychiatrists Association.
I was like, he made a mistake at first, because many people confuse us.
Yeah.
They think we are psychiatric, similar APA, but psychology is, the thing is, for psychiatrists, they have to understand psychology. But for a psychologist, doesn't need, because that's more medical. It's very medical in nature. I think in America it's a little different, but we get confused all the time.
Hay que absorber solo una.
She's asking if
If
you
we absorb it.
will absorb it in the
I
near
know,
future.
Yeah, I think it will always be separate. Because of the fields, they're
Yeah,
very somewhat different. Yeah.
Pues si no tenéis, nadie tiene una pregunta, ¿no os atrevéis? Pues entonces, gracias por vuestro tiempo. Bien.
Hay una pregunta para Jesús, ¿vale? Que ha salido antes en el chat, que dice que si es importante tener una asignatura de primer año para hablar de competencias de información.
Pues sí.
Pues sí, o por lo menos poner un curso cero. Yo creo que con un curso cero de una semanita... Daos cuenta que yo, por ejemplo, lo que doy son 10 horas y tengo que salir corriendo. Yo no tengo tiempo ni diseñar casi ni miro ni los objetivos, voy corriendo. Entonces, yo creo que programar, aunque sea un curso cero, en el mes de septiembre, cuando empieza, que todavía se están colocando, yo pienso que hay un curso cero de bibliotecarios, no solo de bibliotecarios, informáticos y demás. Yo creo que vendría bien. 15 días solo para bibliotecarios e informáticos. Y con eso sería suficiente,
Sí.
para empezar, por lo menos.
Esa es una vieja batalla perdida desde hace más de 2 décadas. Es decir, en distintas reuniones que hemos tenido desde el colegio y demás con universidades, era que el curso de introducción a la psicología o psicología general, que se llamaba antes, se dedicara a todo este tema de los skills. La British lo tiene, la APA lo tiene, pero España, ninguna universidad española ha querido que en la psicología general se dedicara a las skills. Ha sido rechazo.
A mí me comentó un profesor que había estado en una universidad de California y que había una asignatura que era Introducción a Psychinfo. Así.
Si es que todo eso, si tienen los libros, está. Se negaron las universidades a poner obligatoriamente una introducción a la psicología que borrara lo de psicología general.
Bueno,
¿Alguien más valiente?
Yo voy a ser un valiente, ¿vale? Como psicólogo que soy también, además he hecho investigación y me estoy chupando una tesis doctoral, voy a romper una lanza a favor también de algunos estudios donde efectivamente yo estudié en la Universidad de Granada el grado y luego me chupé el máster de forense allí, y allí por narices, sí o sí, durante el grado te tienes que hacer las asignaturas de búsquedas bibliográficas y demás. Durante el máster, además, tienes un módulo de metodología donde o haces el módulo de metodología y aprendes a utilizar la base de datos y los distintos recursos que te dan las bibliotecas. De hecho, la biblioteca de la Universidad de Granada también da, que parece que estoy haciendo promoción, pero que
Es que es verdad,
da
son
mucha facilidad y muchos cursos y demás para buscar el problema que a mi parecer suele surgir más, es que la gran mayoría de mis compañeros no lo conocían. No llegaba de repente, te llegaba el profesor Amadeo Puerto, te decía, mira, que tienes que hacer un trabajo con artículos de psicología fisiológica, y entonces la gente pues no tenía ni idea. a casi nadie se le ocurría acercarse a la biblioteca. Y luego resulta que en la biblioteca tenías un curso estupendísimo que eran 10 o 15 horas de mira cómo buscar para gente de grado, mira cómo buscar, mira, no sé, acuérdate de la bibliografía de primero de carrera. Entonces, es verdad que hay un gran problema, o desde mi punto de vista, hay un gran problema de cara a que pues tienes acceso a muchas cosas, pero luego no recurres, porque como lo tengo ahí, sé dónde está, si lo necesito, pero no lo necesito. Pero también que hay veces que no se llega al estudiante y no se enteran de que está eso y no se les exige.
Sí, pero Granada tiene mucha fuerza en documentación y bibliometría.
Sí.
Y eso se repercute.
Sí.
Claro.
Sí, sí, sí.
Sí, sí.
Es un profesor específicamente.
El de MC3, los que hacían.
Es Antonio... Bueno, yo sé el nombre, luego leeré.
Es una peculiaridad de ese caso.
Pues nada, chicos, muchísimas gracias a los que habéis participado. Gracias en nombre del Colegio de Psicología, que es un placer trabajar con ellos. Para nosotros, gracias a Rojana, que es nuestra representante de la APA. Y por supuesto, especial a los ponentes, que sin ellos esto no sería posible. Y es para nosotros, bueno, una suerte poder disponer de este tiempo para aprender y ver que hay muchas cosas que se hacen bien todavía, porque los ponentes que han participado hoy lo han demostrado. Y es un privilegio teneros aquí a todos. Y creo que nos van a permitir comer algo ahora, lo que vamos a disfrutar, que ya va siendo la hora de la comida. Tarde para los americanos, pero para nosotros es el momento adecuado. Londres
sí,
igual.
Entiendo español.
Muy mal, ¿eh? Tendrías que haberlo hecho en español. ¿Esto qué es?
I'm embarrassed, yes. I don't speak it.
Ok, pues oye, muchísimas gracias a todos y unas gracias especiales al colegio por habernos permitido organizar este workshop.